There's no single party or individual entirely to blame for the current US federal government shutdown, which began October 1st, 2025. Instead, the fault arises from a combination of structural issues and current political dynamics. Below is a breakdown of why the shutdown occurred, who is shouldering blame, and what this means going forward. The shutdown began because Congress failed to pass a continuing resolution or full appropriations bills to fund federal agencies beyond the funding deadline. A key sticking point: Democrats in the Senate demanded that legislation include an extension of certain tax credits for health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, ACA, marketplace. Republicans prioritized reopening the government first. Fund the government, then policy. And the Democrats say that they don't trust Republicans because of their history of not sticking to their promises. The Senate requires 60 votes to break a filibuster on major bills. Republicans hold only 53 seats, so some Democratic support is required for any deal. That math constraint has limited progress. More broadly, shutdowns reflect deeper issues: the fragmented budget process, partisan polarization, and strategic use of government funding deadlines as leverage. Polling indicates that Americans place substantial blame on both parties, and also on President Donald Trump. For example, one AP NORC poll shows around 60% of adults say Trump and congressional Republicans bear a great deal of responsibility. Around 54% say the same about congressional Democrats. Other polls show that more people blame Republicans than Democrats. E.g., a Washington Post ABC poll found 46% blamed Republicans compared to 37% blaming Democrats. Some polling shows 50% of respondents say most blame lies with Republican congressional leadership, with 43% pointing to Democrats. However, blame is not exclusive. Many citizens believe both parties are responsible. For instance, Americans blame both Republicans and Democrats, according to Reuters Ipsos. Republicans argue that they passed or favored a short-term funding bill, but Democrats refused to go along because the credits for health insurance were not attached. For example, Senate Majority Leader John Thune said that Democrats voted no 13 times on a funding measure. But we have to mention that Republicans have total control of the government, House, Senate, and the legislature. Democrats claim that the Republicans and the White House refused to negotiate in good faith and are using the shutdown as leverage to force policy concessions, especially around healthcare. For example, Representative Kevin Mullin stated the shutdown is squarely on the Republicans, who control Congress and the White House, refusing to negotiate on a one-year extension of the healthcare credits, open the government, and then go to negotiations. My assessment: who is chiefly to blame? If I were to assign primary responsibility while acknowledging shared fault, I would say the Republican congressional leadership, along with the White House, bear a larger portion of the immediate blame, because they control the House and Senate majority, in the sense of party control, and thus have the leverage to move or pass a funding bill. They insisted on first reopening the government before addressing the policy demand, healthcare tax credits, that Democrats made. This meant the two sides were talking past each other rather than negotiating proactively. Polling shows a plurality of Americans see Republicans as more responsible. However, and this is important, Democrats also bear significant blame because they insisted on tying the funding bill to specific policy demands, the ACA tax credits. They were unwilling or unable to coalesce a wide majority to accept Republican terms or negotiate alternatives quickly enough. The budgetary structure, filibuster, 60-vote threshold, divided government, means gridlock is baked in. Partisans on both sides exploit that. So it's not purely one side did it. But realistically, the leadership of the majority party has the more immediate responsibility for shuttering government operations, given the control they hold. Why shutdowns keep happening? As explained by experts, including those at Harvard Kennedy School, the US budget process requires Congress to pass multiple appropriations bills or a continuing resolution before the new fiscal year, October 1st. Failure triggers a shutdown of non-essential functions. The 60-vote Senate rule means the majority party often must collaborate with the minority to succeed, giving the minority significant leverage, which may encourage hostage-style brinkmanship. Parties increasingly use funding deadlines to force policy concessions rather than purely to fund agencies. The consequences of a shutdown, furloughs, delayed benefits, economic disruption, are often more visible than the budget wins, which makes the political gamble risky. The 2025 shutdown is already the longest in US history. What it means going forward. The longer the shutdown lasts, the more acute the economic and social damage. Federal workers missing paychecks, benefits like SNAP, food assistance being disrupted. Leadership on both sides may face electoral consequences. If the public holds Republicans more responsible, the Republican Party may pay a price in upcoming midterm elections. The structural issue remains. Unless Congress reforms how appropriations and budget deadlines work, or perhaps removes the filibuster for budget bills, similar shutdown risks will recur. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video and subscribe to the Wanderlust Ron channel for more interesting videos. See you in the next one.